Hey guys, this video is on a top level Lucas player. We're doing an interview so you guys get to know neutral, advantage, disadvantage. This is a good interview to get the base knowledge of like what other Lucas mains are doing. So please like the video, subscribe if you not subscribed, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. Tell me about your journey with Lucas as far as why you chose him and why you stayed with him. Just your overall journey with Smash.
My first Smash game was Brawl, and I was like 5 when it came out. So, I mean, I couldn't really do much. It was just spamming Nikita with Snake and hoping it would work. And I think like F-Tilt and stuff. I didn't even know Smash Text existed until like 2 years in. Then I got into Smash 4. I saw like the hype for it. I'm checking out all these trailers and stuff.
How old were you then?
I would have been, well, it was 2014 when Smash 4 came out, right?
Yes, I think it was like 2013, 2014.
Okay, I would have been
I was
11
in college
then.
at the time. What?
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, that also gives some kind of perspective too. I did not understand too much what was going on in Smash Wii U, but I was having a lot of fun playing it.
That's the best part.
Yeah, exactly. And like it was cool because that was that phase where I'm going on YouTube and being like, oh my god, you can do dash dancing. Like I'm gonna practice this all the time. I'm gonna look so cool. And I'm just trying out like tons of different characters like Sheik, Luigi, whatever, all of that. And then the DLC came out, and they look cool. And all of them look pretty fun. I bought. I was like trying to think about what is my money's worth, right? And so when all of them released, I bought every single DLC in Smash Wii U. Except Lucas, because my mentality was, why would I pay the same price for like Mewtwo for a Nest clone? True. yeah, exactly. Just a simple Nest clone. So I literally had everyone except him, and then in like the last 6 months or so of Smash Wii U kind of still being relevant, I decided to play Mother 3. Just because there's like this like weird like atmosphere like history behind it, and like it kind of makes you like really curious about it. So I decided to play it. I loved that game so much. It is still like my favorite game, probably tied with like Xenoblade or something, but it is still like my favorite game. And so immediately after I beat that game, or I think even while I was still playing it, I bought Lucas and I just started playing him like crazy. I'm gonna be honest, I had no idea what I was doing still, but it was fine. And then Ultimate came out, and this one I'm like, okay, you know what? I feel like I can have the right mentality for this kind of stuff. I think it was 2018 when it came out, so I was like 15 or something. So I go in. Originally, I could not click with Lucas at first. Playing like King K. Rool and Crom and stuff. Yeah, that's everyone's first phase, right?
Me and my brother were like, all right, let's switch off mains one time, and I was like, yo, King K. Rool is so slow.
Yeah, I know. You feel so sluggish. It's like, some of this stuff is really satisfying, so I can see where they're coming from.
Like, I don't know how my brother do it. He's the best King K. Rool in Philly, and I'm like, that's really crazy.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. It's so hard to be like consistent with super heavy, so when you see that, it's really cool. Yeah. But yeah, and then a bit into it, I'm like, okay, you know what? I think it was like the first 2 months after Ultimate came out. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna go back into Lucas and commit to this. He looks like he has cool stuff. And during that time, I'm playing him. I have not been to a single tournament. I would just play random Elite Smash. But what happened is that I went to my first tournament in 2019 in March. So this was the first March of when Ultimate came out, and it was a regional. It was about like 300 something people, 400, 300, actually maybe 200. It's something along the line. It was a region.
I don't remember, but were you the person who first did the Nair loops and showed it off, or was that somebody else?
So yeah, the Nair loop stuff, the first person who found it, I could be completely wrong on this. I just remember who really looked into it was someone named Gordon Ramsay. I forgot he put an A at the end for some reason or not. No, he didn't. Okay. Gordon Ramsay in the Lucas Discord. And basically, I think he was labbing it versus like Bowser or Ganondorf. When that came out, I thought that could be like pretty big. So I looked into it.
I thought that crap was so fake.
It looks so fake. It looks so wrong. It's like, why is Nair comboing? and it's like off of Rising there too. Like this is just flat out wrong.
Yeah.
But then I really looked into it. And I'm like, oh shoot, like this actually is useful. But the
Mhm.
problem is that whenever I like talk about it, a lot of people would be like, oh, it's never done in bracket.
So you the one who did it bracket and showed, and I saw that video, I think.
Yep.
And then
So
that's when I started doing it.
yeah. You see the damage and the kind of stuff he set up, and even if you don't get the perfect like everything out of it, like whatever the triple up air and then the dare at the end or
You
double
still
up air.
get like 30, 40.
Exactly, off of Rising Nair too, which is like our main out of shield. So when I looked into that and like applied it in bracket and stuff, then I think a lot of other people saw how good it was, because I think also Remy applied it in bracket, and that whatever he posted like clips of it, and that blew up. And so now like Nair loops is a fairly common thing that you should know. Like even in Japan, I see like 8 Mitsuki and them do.
Yeah, I watch them a lot too.
Yep. So they do Nair loops now, which is really cool how that kind of spread. Even if it was a bit like silently almost. But yeah, that was really cool. And I liked how I was able to help with that.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Because when I would do it in bracket, my opponents would be so confused, like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I saw your video of you doing it. I think it was on a battlefield stage, and I think it was on the Wii Fit. I don't know, it was a white background.
It was on the PictoChat stage.
Yes. I saw that video.
Fans just came out. I had Megalovania playing in the background.
Yes. I saw that, and I was like, this happened at bracket? Like, I was like, wait, this is so fake. Like, I can't do this.
I was at like 200% or something. Like I was at a really high percent, and we were both last stock with Yeti, and Yeti was at like 0. I got a parry off of a fair, and then I did like 70 something percent off my Nair loops, and the dare didn't connect, so I lost my stock for that. But it was still like something that was really new at the time. So that was really cool.
Everybody was like, Lucas can combo?
Yep, exactly. Because it's always like, oh, it's only the Zaire stuff. But yeah, no, that was really cool.
All right, so you went to your first tournament.
I surprised myself with how well I did. I think I got like 25th or something like that, which like that was my first tournament. And also on the flip side, like, it was a regional. So after that point, around in like June or something, it was like a few months after, I just consistently started going to locals. I'd place like 13th or something, and then eventually placed in top 8, and then eventually in top 4, and then like top 3, and then sometimes even top 2. But yeah, and then during that time, I'm still working on.
You never went O2 in bracket?
I've never gotten O2 in bracket before, unless you count my brackets. But I DQ out of those, so that's different. That's very different.
I never went O2 either. I went 1-2 before. I never went O2.
Yeah. 1-2 has a different feeling than O2, but you know what?
Yeah, like, 1-2 feels worse, I feel like.
it's a humbling experience, and that's a good thing. I never experienced that before, but I mean, there have been bad losses in brackets for sure. But I mean, those are always a growing opportunity. Like one time I didn't know the Yoshi matchup. I got doubly eliminated by Yoshi's, went out pretty early. Boom, learned the matchup the next time. Stuff like that. And it was cool because my region is also developing counterplay for Lucas as I keep playing. So for example, Nair loops, the counterplay to that is to just SDI. And usually SDI out and up is the way to go. Sometimes down even works. But
you can't even get the up airs after that.
You just can't get the up airs. You can
only
try to
get
cross
the fair.
up.
Yeah.
It's hard because usually the best that you can get is fair at the end because they're just so far out. But yeah, and then there'd be other similar like related counterplay like or not similar, but like circle camping, that's very strong. Platform camping, things like that. And so it's just kind of this like back and forth, like, okay, you know what, here's this new tech to maybe help with that, like the PK Thunder on shielding opponents to like poke them. And so yeah.
Every time I use PK Thunder in bracket, everybody says, what? Did he just miss input? And I did miss input. Are you satisfied with your placements and all that as far as just like being a Lucas main?
Yeah, I was pretty content. And yeah, I think so. I was able to make it onto PR in my region. Unfortunately, right before the pandemic, I'd signed up for 2 majors to attend. Those both happened to be during COVID when that happened. So those being Pound and SmashCon.
Where do you think Lucas is on the tier list, and how do you think he compares to the top tiers?
Oh, you're not gonna like this.
I'm probably not.
I feel like he is You know, like arguing the specifics, it doesn't feel very useful when it's at such a low range, because it's like, you know, the gist is that I don't think he's very viable. But I would put him around the bottom 15, maybe bottom 20 range. I feel like he has very good strengths. However, his counterplay, while it's hard to maybe figure out at first, when you do, it kind of just guts the character. And so when I think about how he does versus top tiers, you know, he does well versus some very key matchups, such as Snake or Pikachu. However, on the flip side, the problem is that so many of the other top tiers can go with Joker, who else? ZSS,
Palutena.
Palutena. The Palutena is not too bad. I can see it being very bad though, because she does have good stuff for platform camping and circle camping.
Her Nair also beats almost all your moves. It's hard to get around that sometimes for me.
It's very weird how, so this is a side note, but you know how like up tilt will beat out some moves because, you know, whatever, it's like an anti-air. So if Cloud tries to dare you and it's like head on or like directly above you, up tilt will beat it. For some reason, I think Palutena's Nair just goes through our up tilt, which is very weird. But yeah, that I mean, it's not super related to the matchup, but it's just really stupid how Nair can work sometimes.
Another thing that I think about is like, I think about Palutena's moves compared to Lucas. And when you think about it, she kind of got the same moves, but they're just better. Like her Nair is like your Nair, but hers is bigger.
Yeah.
And then her fair is like your fair, but it's also bigger. And I think it has a disjoint on it. I'm not sure. And it's also very safe. So it's just like
it's so dumb. Yeah.
Yeah. Can they do something to make?
Yeah.
Can they do something to make Lucas like at least feel like on par with like Palutena? Like, because his stuff is smaller, but he should be able to contest some of the things that she's doing. Because it just feels like she's just a better Lucas, which as far as her moves go.
I think a big thing about the differences is well, first of all, fair, Palutena fair, one huge thing about it that I don't see as many people bring up, but it is really important for her. If she does a rising forward air and she fast falls right away, it auto cancels.
I didn't know that.
And that's huge because, like, for example, none of our aerials do that. We'll be in lag if we try to fast fall after doing a rising aerial, and so that makes Palutena's fair really safe. Palutena also has just, you know, she's not a floaty. Being a floaty, while it does help us with a lot of combos, like that's the reason why Nair loops work sometimes, or some instant double jump combos we have. That's the reason why those work. But being a floaty is actually pretty detrimental to us because it makes it worse. It makes us worse in juggling, because you can see how Palutena, if she whiffs an up air to hit you, she can at least, you know, fast fall and make it back onto the stage relatively fast. With Lucas, if you're trying to full hop and match the opponent in up air and they air dodge, you're floaty, it's going to take you forever to land on the ground.
Yeah. And another thing I don't get about how they like balance this character is that you have an up smash that's slow, and sometimes up tilt just trades with a lot of moves and stuff. And I just don't get like how we're supposed to like keep our advantage state when our up air don't even have a disjoint, because that would really help, but it doesn't. So not only are you floaty, it's hard to juggle people because you know you're going to be trading almost like most of the time if somebody's like really like, oh, I know he's going to try to up air me, I'm going to down air him too.
Yeah, and they don't have to be scared of that too. That's the problem, and that's that I feel like that plays a big role into how I feel about his viability. The main reason being that his verticality does not exist. If he wants to anti or someone or play air to air, it's very risky for Lucas because he's a floaty. He has like a very committal double jump. It goes very high. It's very slow. You're just stuck in an animation, and he's doing like cartwheels in the air.
Yeah. Spinning and everything.
Yeah.
Slow.
I don't know what he's doing up there, man. Just land.
I would say that one of the things that I've been like labbing out this week is like how to get like a good double jump that's not that floaty. So I've been looking into Magnet more. I've been doing some crazy stuff with it because you know Magnet is like, you know, plus on shield and all that. So I've been doing a lot of crazy stuff with Magnet, and it's really like something you can use to like for your double jump, because it stops the momentum of the double jump. So you don't have to go that far up, and you can just go up a little bit or use Zaire to like stop it as well.
That
but
makes sense.
it still sucks. It still
It
sucks.
yeah, oh no, it's still bad. It's like trying to find some kind of remedy. See, like there's always like little like for whatever we try to find, there's always like a big downside to it. So for example, like the double jump magnet stuff, we still rise a bit and we're committing to a magnet.
Yes.
But let's say you're trying to catch someone in the air and you feel like you don't have the height to do it, so you have to double jump, but you don't want to go as high, so you do the double jump magnet.
Yes.
Either they just hit you out of magnet or you're stuck in place. Because when you do
Mm-hmm.
magnet, you also lose all your or you lose a big amount of your horizontal momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And so they can just kind of drift away from you while you're doing that. And so unfortunately that becomes a problem. But I do agree it can be helpful in some specific scenarios. But yeah, it is tough to learn, ways to get around Lucas's weaknesses. And going back to the whole top tier thing, like that's why I feel like he doesn't do well against a good chunk of the other top tiers, because usually to be a top tier you have to be very good in the air. You usually should have good defensive tools, and even if you don't have that many good defensive tools, you can still get around Lucas's stuff by platform camping, circle camping, etc. Just because
Yeah, some people don't realize it, but camping is so good against Lucas. It's
it's
so
very
good.
strong. Yep. And so when you go into or when you play versus a player that, for example, doesn't know the matchup or is not willing to play campy, Lucas can definitely feel like an extraordinary character that's
Yes.
like, top 30 guys, a hidden high tier. We got this.
It's so satisfying when people like actually be like, all right, I'm gonna fight Lucas, and you go up and you're like doing all this safe crap with shield, and they like my brother always says, yo, I can't move. He's like, he'll be like
so
completely
satisfying.
Yeah,
it's so
it feels so good, but the character is just like, it's just something about him is like, what did they do? Like, please fix this.
I know it's a terrible feeling in that part, but yeah, it is really nice when your opponent's like suffocating from like suit Lucas's pressure, because it's insane when he gets in. But yeah, and there's just weird tiny little issues that should not exist. You've already said some of them, but like for example, down tilt, like you can't even true combo that into a jab at like low percents. You have to wait until like 20 or so.
The forward tilt, when you do forward tilt on attack, you're going to get punished, and sometimes you can do down tilt after, depending on that character's options, but if they have a very fast option, they can basically get out of that real quick.
If you got a Mario Nair or Yoshi Nair, like you're screwed there. But yeah, there's stuff like that. Moves not connecting, moves that are too easy to SDI out of. We know that the
up
typical
smash.
dare. Up smash is being up smash is just already its own thing.
Up smash is like a huge guess, and it's not a good guess, and it's not in your favor. It's a huge risk for no reason. And Steve has the same up smash, but it's better.
Yep.
And that's what pisses me off. Like, it's the same up
Steve
smash,
definitely has a very good anti-airing up smash, which is kind of surprising. But yeah, and then there's also stuff like, like up smash would be probably a very good, well, not a very good move, but at least one that would work in a lot more situations. If Lucas was a good character for setting up for shield breaks. But he just isn't. There's very small
I kind of disagree with that.
Okay.
The reason why I do is because I've been utilizing magnet more, and I've been breaking a lot of shields. But this is like to people on elite. I did it in bracket too, but this is definitely the people on elite. It's harder to get people to shield in bracket, especially the faster top tier characters. And I'm still trying to figure that out. But I think he's really good at making people shield, making people spot dodge, and capitalizing off of that. That's what I think he's really good at. Because I remember when I was playing at Pikachu last week, he would spot dodge a lot, and I'll just run up and down smash. Like, Lucas is so good at punishing defensive stuff when you get in. He's good at punishing those things. And I feel like using PK freeze on shield makes them move and get close to you and stuff like that. So I think he's really good at punishing, like breaking shields, and I think he's just a good character at breaking shields and stuff and get other characters to move.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I like the reason why I was saying that is just like I'm comparing it to characters along the likes of Sephiroth,
Hmm.
the Shotos,
Hmm.
Terry, other like characters that are like infamous for breaking shields, and it's like a
Oh
real
yeah,
like big
yeah. Oh,
threat in bracket.
they are a lot better doing this. It's way easier for them.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just like the fact of the matter is we just don't have that many moves that do a lot of shield damage. And so we're kind of like left with the big ones that do a lot of shield damage uh are I think PK Thunder 2 does a decent amount. But
Yeah.
the other big ones are up air and up smash. Both of them
Mhm.
do a fair bit of shield damage.
So that's why. Did you see my video where I showed that shield break setup where you magnet up air and then up smash and it just breaks the shield on the
Uh
platform?
I have not, but I am familiar with the setup.
Yeah, that setup is so good. Like that's the one that I got in bracket. But yeah, magnet. No, magnet doesn't do it that well, but up air and definitely up smash and down smash too. And fair,
Yep.
fair kind of breaks it down too. But that's
Um
about it.
there's something very interesting about that setup, by the way. So up air, up smash, if both of them are fresh moves, or at
Mhm.
least close to fresh, just doing the up air, like landing up air into up smash, and they hold shield throughout the whole thing, um,
That would break it.
that breaks it alone.
Oh, I
I've
didn't
done
know
that
that.
before in bracket a lot of times,
Mhm.
or just in friendlies too. But a really important thing about that setup, by the way, so for those who are listening that
Mhm.
aren't too familiar with like the technical stuff between like Smash Ultimate's mechanics, like shield safety and stuff, this might just sound like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. When you land up air, it's a certain amount unsafe on shield, but it's not so unsafe that someone can grab it, right? Up
Right.
smash has invincibility in the first 7 frames of the move. When you do that up air to up smash combo, let's say they try to grab after the up air, and they have a normal grab. The up smash will actually like the grab will go through its invincibility, meaning that
Mm-hmm.
it'll whiff.
Yep.
And so the up smash becomes a true punish in that scenario. Or let's say the
Mm-hmm.
character has a frame 4 through 10 option that they do out of shield.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you read that and you do the up smash. For example, if Ness does Nair out of shield after you up air him, and you do up smash immediately right after, and you know he's going to do Nair out of it, your invincibility will work in that scenario, and the up smash will connect. And then let's say instead they're scared, then they hold shield instead. You'll get the shield break.
So
So
it's
that can
like
be a very good
guaranteed.
setup.
Yeah, it's definitely guaranteed.
Yep.
And another thing I noticed too is with like larger characters, taller characters. First, I think Lucas like his head just like disappears during the part of like the up smash. So they'll try to grab you, and it won't like let them grab you. So
Yeah. He has some
that happens too.
invulnerability in the middle of it,
Mm.
and so some moves will whiff on his head,
Yeah.
which is pretty funny. You don't get to see it too often because the moment where that happens is pretty late into the move.
Hmm.
Um, but it is pretty fun when it happens.
Yeah, but the move still sucks. It's
Yeah. Oh
still
yeah.
bad.
No, it definitely still sucks.
It's trash.
Um, but yeah, there's those nice little niche uses.
Mhm.
Definitely, definitely still want to stay like realistic and be like, okay, it's still not a great move.
Nah, it sucks. um, why do you think the general perception of Lucas is so low to the PGR players? Why do you
Uh,
think they don't think he can go far?
so I think a big thing is lack of representation.
Mhm.
That will just happen with a lot of characters that don't have a lot of representatives. Like the general consensus is going to be, okay, if no one's picking him up, they're probably not super good. But that rule doesn't always apply, by the way, because it's like there's like Shulk and Greninja who, top players will generally agree is at least decent, or even Mega
Mhm.
Man.
Mhm.
They'll agree they're decent characters, but like not as many people really play them. Um, I also feel like a lot of them that feel like that perceive Lucas as a pretty low in the tier list. The reason why is just because they see his tools and they're like, okay, this character cannot do much. They might not be too invested in the Lucas community and not know whatever his combo routes are.
Mhm.
Or they might actually know and they might see, okay, this character can't play in the air. I know that for sure. He's really floaty. He has all these weaknesses, and maybe sometimes they do know a lot about Lucas, and realize, okay, maybe this character isn't too great. But on the flip side, if Lucas is like that niche counter pick to your character, I think a lot of top players see him as pretty good. So for example, like Esam, Lucas is fairly good against Pikachu, and you can see that kind of reflect well.
And his tier
Yeah,
list.
he'll put him Lucas as high tier. So you can kind of understand, you know, there's characters like Game and Watch 2 that Esam finds to be very good characters, but they also reflect, you know, how well they do in the Pika matchup.
It's his perception.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's perception is different. There's probably no right answer for this. Yeah, hopefully it gives a little bit of why I feel a lot of people, or at least a lot of the top level, find him to not be very good.
Yeah. Do you think Lucas can win a major?
No.
Not at all?
Not at all. Never. I am very, very willing to be proven wrong. I would love to see it. I think Lucas's can get in top 64, top 32, even top 16 at majors. But that would be a very rare occurrence. And I feel like it'd be a mix of sometimes kind of bracket luck or the opponent not being familiar with the matchup, or like the biggest thing is that if they don't know the counterplay to Lucas, such as just playing more defensively or playing patient, because I feel like that's one reason that Lucas could probably get pretty far in brackets, and that's from a lack of experience. But obviously there has been very talented players with Lucas that have made it pretty far in majors, such as Remy, who did pretty well in Genesis.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think Choco Taco did well at Affinity Con. I could be wrong though. I think it was somewhere in top 64. So you do have those amazing players. You know, Amitsuki does well, I think, in the online tournament specifically. And there's other players there too in Japan that do well. And the names are, I'm just blanking out on them right now. But I don't think he can win a major unless he's like some kind of secondary. But yeah, there's too many matchups in this game. It's difficult, and it's relying too much on matchup and experience.
Right. Do you think Lucas has something missing in his kit? And if he does, what is it and why?
That's a tough one.
I thought about this a lot.
Cause like
I'll be playing and I'll be like, yo.
I wish he had something. Yeah. Because there's so many answers I could give to this, but they wouldn't actually solve his problems. Like, let's say I said, give him a bigger up air, maybe that might solve some juggling scenarios, but it doesn't change the fact he's a floaty and he's stuck with this. Or maybe I would say make PK Fire faster so you can actually zone at mid range. But that wouldn't solve like half his other issues. I don't think there's one answer that fits all here. I think a lot of this is due to his mobility, his stats as a character. His base stats are a problem, and that will never change in the patch. They've never changed base stats, at least intentionally. His hitbox sizes too are a problem. His moves connecting as well. It's hard to say. The archetype that they gave him puts him in such a bad position for normal patch notes to make him a decent character. They can make him more gimmicky or more cheesy by, for example, adding
That's
more
not
hit stun on the moves. Sorry?
That won't be consistent in bracket.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm trying to think of which character they've done that in the past where it's like their archetype was bad. There's one character. I can't think of it. They buffed them pretty much. It didn't help with their real issues, but it just made them even scarier to be up close with. I think it might have been Ryu where they buffed him, but like
in
it didn't
Smash
solve
4?
his no in
Oh
Ultimate.
yeah, because
they buffed him.
They wanted him to
be
on they wanted him to be on par with Ken.
But they even buffed Ken too. So they buffed both of them.
Yeah, that was weird, man.
Yeah.
But I have been seeing people play more Ryu lately, but still I don't know what they're doing with that character.
Oh, DK, that's an easy one. They buffed DK, but like he's still DK at the end of the day. Like you just made him more cheesier. He's gonna get his up B armor earlier. Whatever, he'll get some cheesy up B kills, but like it doesn't make him a good character. So like
yeah, true.
If they went around and just made Lucas and been like, okay, you know what, we're reducing lag on fair, and we're making up smash kill earlier. Like, what did you did nothing pretty much.
That would be so stupid.
It,
Please, please.
it would feel really nice though. I'd love
It
to.
would feel nice, but like,
I'll take what I can get.
we gotta be angry. We gotta change it.
That's true. That's true. Where are the rants? I'm waiting for them. But yeah, that's just how I feel about the buffs. I basically just said in a fancy way, there's no way to buff them, but you know, that's just how I feel about it.
A question. This is not on my question list, but I probably should put this on here. Why do you think people can go so far with Ness but can't go far with Lucas? Like, what's the difference there? Because they both kind of have the same like base stats and stuff. But Ness is a little slower. He's also more floaty. His short hop is higher because I tried to play the character and it felt bad. Yep. And he just doesn't feel as snappy as Lucas, but he's just better for some reason. What do you think it is?
Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna check his run speed because I think he might be, at least in that sense.
I think Lucas is faster.
In run speed?
Yeah,
maybe.
In run speed.
He might be. Let me check.
Like slightly, very slightly.
Yeah. I just know both of them don't have like amazing run speeds. Let's see. Okay, so he has Ness has a worse run speed. He has a better initial dash. Ness has better, I think, air acceleration, but worse air speed. So, okay, yeah, in terms of base stats there, it kind of is weird that Ness would do better, but there's a lot of finer details in his moves that really make him more of a force to be reckoned with. I think one big thing is that Ness has this bubble around him, right? And this bubble is able to exist because his moves don't leave much area for blind spots. The lag on his moves in the air is close to none. You got Nair, which you can do 2 in a short hop. You got all these other moves where if you whiff them, you're not at a big disadvantage. You know, like the big thing behind being a floaty is that let's say you're in the air and you whiff a move, you got nothing to protect you. And so the way to maybe remedy that while being a floaty still is to give them low lag so that even if they whiff a move in the air and they're still stuck in the air, they can throw out another move. Ness can do that. Lucas cannot. Lucas has a lot of aerial lag for a good chunk of his move, and they have a lot of blind spots in the moves. So for example, there's a lot of diagonal areas where Lucas does not cover fairly well because you know, for example, forward air that hits directly in front of him. It's pretty disjointed, but the problem is it's not very active, and the amount of lag that's on the move while it's in the air is close to that of a smash attack. You're stuck in the air, floating there, able to do nothing.
Yeah. Earlier today, I was trying to figure out how I can get as many moves as possible out in the air. And so far, I got like buffered magnet to buffered Zaire to fair, but like all that for. And it still feels kind of sluggish. Like they could find an opening in there. Yeah. They could find an opening in there.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And that's, you know, that's one big difference between Ness and Lucas. He has these options and they're all very explosive. Like every single one of his aerials, you don't really have the same inconsistencies that Lucas has. And they're all very active aerials. So he kind of dominates this area that Lucas cannot. And then there's also other differences. For example, he just has different edge guarding. He's a very explosive character. Landing one hit can mean death, and it's not as much counterplay compared to Lucas. Which, for example, with Lucas, you can be like, oh, just SDI out of his stuff. That doesn't work as much for Ness, not to a degree that would make it a game changer. And then, you know, there's key things too, like his out of shield is very fast. It's something that we don't have.
Yes.
His shield poking and shield breaking potential is like something you actually have to worry about because he can throw out moves so often and they all do very good shield damage. And then you have moves you have to watch out for, like charging up smash on your shield or down smash, something along those lines.
And PK Thunder too, like why don't ours don't kill until like 180? Isn't that like what?
And he'll kill at 40. He doesn't care, you know.
Yes.
And he'll have even less, or like, you know, it'll be easier to set up for him, and it's actually insane.
And I have went like crazy, like hours upon hours labbing out what kind of setups I can get. And I found a lot of setups with Lucas, but they are so situational and so hard to get that it's just like, like I can't do this like that. You just can't.
It's really, it's cool to find those scenarios, especially when you pull them off. It feels amazing.
Do you think Lucas needs a secondary, and is it doable with how much time you have to put into Lucas?
No, I don't think so. So for the amount of matchups he loses, I don't think a secondary makes sense. I think Lucas being the secondary makes sense. Lucas, so he loses a bunch of matchups, and the time you have to invest into him to make him like very like noteworthy. You know, pulling off these great combos, understanding his neutral, because he plays very different from a lot of other characters. So understanding that takes a long time. I think if you've already invested into Lucas and you've already put a lot of time and you're like, I want to swap, like it makes sense to keep Lucas in the back because he is this good counter pick for some matchups. And you could also just, you know, exploit matchup inexperience. That's totally fine. But if for example, you picked up a different character who's good, like you picked up Fox or Joker or even Ike, something along those lines, and you're like, you know, I want to make Lucas my secondary while I'm using Ike, and I have not played Lucas before. I don't think that's a smart decision, personally. There's a lot of characters that are the same kind of counter pick as Lucas is, while being low maintenance and very easy to understand, like Game & Watch. Ness is even simpler. You got characters along those lines that do that. But yeah, if you already knew Lucas, Palutena, that's an easy one for sure. But yeah, if you already know Lucas, like it doesn't make sense to completely drop him. Yeah, I don't think it makes sense. He's not solo viable for sure, and I don't think a secondary is enough to help Lucas. I think you need to have either co-main or Lucas becomes a secondary.
If you could buff one move with Lucas, which one would it be and why? Just one move that would like at least put him up a tier.
Oh, I don't know if it can put him up a tier, but I will try. I will try. You know, I could say something like up smash covers the entire stage instead. You know what? Why not? Why not?
That would be amazing. I was thinking about that one time when I was working.
It should.
I said, what if it covers the whole platform? Because you know the shield break setup. I was like, because sometimes they roll and I still catch them, but I'm like, sometimes they'll like you'll be too far next, like almost off the platform when you do it, and they'll roll away and you won't catch it. I was like, what if it just did the whole platform?
Yep, no, that'd feel great. And you know, like the animation for up smash makes it look like it reaches the top platform of Battlefield, and then it just doesn't, which is very weird. But yeah, you know, just make it cover the whole stage. Yeah, I think that should put him up like maybe a tier or two. No seriousness, I think the go-to move to buff him, and I'm gonna be like in this scenario, I'd buff it like crazy, would be Nair. Make it a bigger hitbox so that it can actually anti-air people. It doesn't just easily get beat out. Reduce how much it can get SDI'd by, so it's actually a consistent combo move. And then probably the biggest thing, or well, somewhere up there, it's very important, is to make it like way faster out of shield, or just a way faster move in general.
Yes, that's the same thing I've been saying.
All those buffs combined would help us in the air. It would help us in disadvantage. It would help us without a shield, and it would help us with making us a more consistent character that can combo.
See, that's perfect. I think you could do it.
It's
because look, even if it was just the startup frames, like literally when people touch your shield, you can get an 80% combo. And that would be crazy.
That would be very crazy. I would say that still makes us a cheesy character, but it would be still really crazy. And you know, like there's other like small stuff too that it impacts. Or for example, if it had a bigger hitbox, that means that we can short hop underneath the platform and hit someone who's on the platform.
Yes,
that's something we can't do well. It's stuff like that, hitting low profiling opponents, which can sometimes be an issue for us, like Pikachu pancaking or just the Greninja matchup.
The best player in Philly plays Greninja, and I play him all the time.
I'm so sorry for you.
It's Juice. Juice is so annoying with his Greninja. I play him all the time.
It feels impossible. It feels impossible.
I almost won one time. It was last stock, last game. I was so happy, and then he just
destroyed me.
God, that's a terrible feeling. But yeah, it's good you have those kind of characters though. Those are kind of more niche. They teach you some really important stuff.
What separates high level Lucases from low level ones? We're getting close to being done.
Depending on who you ask, I might not be qualified to answer that question, but I'll try.
I think you're qualified if you make PR.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. What separates a low level from a high? I think. Are we just ignoring like just being a high level player in Smash versus being a low level? So like understanding neutral, advantage, disadvantage.
Just
okay.
Lucases.
So like, okay, like would this be even separating? Like, okay, imagine there's two high level players. How would you tell that one is a Lucas main and one isn't when they're both playing him?
Yes.
Okay, you got to understand what his strengths are, and when you realize that, the way that you play Lucas completely shifts. For the longest time, I just wanted to be in the air all the time. And then looking into Lucas and how he plays, a lot of people underestimate how good his grounded game can be, especially defensively. And so when you want to tell the difference between like a higher top or a higher low level Lucas in that sense, assuming that they both understand the game fairly well, a better Lucas would ideally be playing grounded way more, using a lot of F tilts, understanding like the importance of micro movement through walking. Walking is a big thing. Not really gimmicky other options, just walking, dashing. That's all really good. And obviously you can say, oh, but this guy knows how to double jump cancel Zair or do nair loops and stuff. While I think because he's not that great of a character, that knowing as much as possible is very important when maining him. Understanding these very basic things of just playing more grounded, and abusing other things about Lucas, for example, how low his short hop goes, like doing empty hops, consistently landing as low to the ground as possible.
And it's also very easy for people to be like, I'm gonna throw out an aerial every time I jump. And I get caught up like that too, because the aerials are so good on shield that you just want to be like bang, 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 bang. But like you can't do that sometimes. You really can't.
You really can't.
They expect it. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. So I think one thing would be, you can practice a bunch of tech. I wouldn't say that like if you knew nair loops, you would be a high level Lucas. I think it takes a lot more than that, but I think a high level Lucas should know nair loops or, the crazy advantage stuff to make the most out of every hit. That applies to any character. But yeah, understanding his strengths and pushing him to the max, stuff like that, understanding where he's not a strong character. If you're going to chase him in the air and double jump like crazy to try and hit him, to try to hit characters above you, like you're probably not playing Lucas super well unless you had like a really good read or you understand that this is a mix-up, or doing a lot of rising aerials with Lucas. That's kind of a giveaway too, or like being patient out of shield, because you can't just always just do nair out of shield. It's too slow to always do that.
You would get punished.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna get punished. Yeah, I think that's what would separate them too. And also, this is a more niche thing, but seeing how they deal with defensive play, whether it be them like circle camping or shield or platform camping, seeing how they deal with that would kind of show how much experience they have versus that as Lucas, because your tools are very different.
Yeah, that patience is insane. You really have to be like, I cannot go in like that, because people would say I heard a lot of people say Lucas is a zoner, but I was going to ask you about his archetype, because it's hard to define it, but a lot of people say he's a zoner, but you cannot zone with Lucas.
No, he doesn't exist at mid-range and beyond. You could say PK Fire is a mid-range tool. I would agree in the sense that it technically goes to mid-range, but it's too slow to be a poking tool at mid-range. Link has your young Link has fire arrows for mid-range. That makes sense. Greninja might have shurikens at mid-range. That's why he's a threat there. Sephiroth has his normal aerials and everything that just kind of goes to mid-range by default, and then Shadow Flare. Those are mid-range tools. Lucas does not have that. How you can be at mid-range is also defined by your speed and your burst options. For example, Falcon has no like projectile or some kind of disjointed move that would be active at mid-range, but you still have to guess at mid-range versus him because
I stay far away from him.
Oh, yeah, you gotta go like a mile away because
I'll be right outside his burst range, just like walking.
Yep. It's you really if you're forced to play scared at mid-range, and like it also depends on your definition of zoner, because sometimes people define zoner as not a specific range, but the ability to keep people out. I think Lucas can keep certain characters out very well, actually a good chunk pretty well if they go into him. I think F tilt is an amazing walling out tool, and same with some other aerials. There are some blind spots where you can go into him though. I think he's good at zoning out characters in that sense, but I would consider that more like turtling rather than the next bit is like, what archetype is he, right? His archetype would best be defined as a character that's a touch of death kind of character. So once he lands a hit, he takes it very far and kind of pushes that to the max. It's a character you have to play very scared to be near. And he's also like extremely good at, I said this before, but he's extremely good at turtling too. But that only becomes relevant when he either has a good lead, so that the opponent is forced to approach, or is in matchups where turtling actually works. If it's versus Joker, he can just build up chip damage. Same with Mega Man and stuff. He's not going to be able to F tilt and all that stuff.
Another thing I noticed about Lucas is like you rarely get to control the pace of the match.
Yeah.
Because other characters have so many, like if you play in a Samus, you have to play to her style. If you play in a Joker, you have to play to his style. You have to play Sephiroth, you have to play to his style.
Min,
yeah, you got even the King K. Rool, you have to play to his style because him throwing the crown beats out PK Fire. So you have to be like, all right, I'm gonna wait for the crown. I'm gonna hit it back. Or if you even like, there are characters that you can like control the pace of the battle, like Donkey Kong, but there's so little of them, and I feel like that's trash because Sephiroth and a lot of other characters, they are the ones that control the pace of battle.
Yep. Actually, I really enjoy playing Sephiroth too. But yeah, he's a really fun character. But yeah, for Lucas, I say he can control the pace of the match if the opponent is not willing to take control of it. If they're not familiar with the matchup and they just keep going in, and I'm F tilting them, I'm playing the match way slower, and they're not, they might feel forced. Oh God, I have to play slower as well. But that's if they give you that control. Yeah, I think I think in those scenarios you'll be able to control it. But yeah, it's hard to be like the grandmaster in controlling the pace when the opponent equally wants control over it.
Yeah, true.
Who is Lucas's worst matchup, and how do you overcome it?
Oh, that's I can think of like his top 3 worst matchups. If I had to pick his worst matchup, I think I think I'd pick not Sephiroth, sorry. I think I'd pick Mega Man as his worst matchup. So Mega Man is a character that does very well at mid-range and can do well at beyond. And a big thing is he's incredible at racking up chip damage. He'll constantly just poke at you, whether it be with pellets or Metal Blade, that makes you kind of guess, because he also has a really good initial dash. And he has some burst options, but he also has, really good anti-airing tools like forward air or back air. And those can all catch us. So if we're trying to get in, like it's already a hassle trying to get in, and we're guaranteed taking chip damage if we even just slightly guess wrong. Mega Man has just like the perfect way of dealing with our options with pellets and other things. And the default answer might be, oh, just absorb the pellets. But the problem is that like Mega Man doesn't really have to commit. If you haven't played, especially versus a good Mega Man does not have to commit to constantly just throwing out triple pellets. He can toss out 1 pellet, see your reaction, play off of that. Like let's say you're buffering shield out of it. He could throw out 2 pellets, maybe jump away or jump forward. There's a lot of guessing that goes on, and Magnet does not have that flexibility to allow you to play versus Mega Man.
It's not fast enough.
It's not fast enough. And pellets are very fast. And, maybe if you get hit by one, you're just taking 1 or 2%, but it adds up because you're also getting, swatted out of your approaches. So you don't get to get in to play your game. Pellets, PK Fire in that matchup, because that's our really like only realistic mid-range tool, even though it's not too great. PK Fire's only role in that matchup, if Mega Man's throwing out pellets or something and he's approaching forward with the pellets, and let's say a PK Fire clinks with the pellet, the explosion will be active and the Mega Man might walk into the explosion. But that's the like closest thing to useful that PK Fire can be in that matchup, rather than just, on top of the fact that you can randomly just catch him like slacking, but that's rare. At mid-range, we have so much trouble and we're constantly taking chip damage. And then on top of our fairly slow speed and having a bit of a blind spot in the air, because, in front of us, we only hit directly in front of us. We don't hit at angles. So if pellets hit us at like, a diagonal angle, like lower than Zair or above Zair, like knock our head or our feet, we can't really do much about it. Zair has to be best tool at trying to get in a lot of times because it's so active.
Right, and that's a lot with a lot of projectile characters. Even Link, like I think other Lucases don't realize this, but using Zair against Link is the only way, like for the most part, that we can get in, because it will clink with the boomerang and then that's when you're in. But it's just like that with Mega Man too. You need to use Zair way more in that matchup, and that's hard to do because, like I said in the other day, is like we need to play off of them. Like we need to change our play style depending on what character
we're
pick.
Playing their game.
Yeah. So you got to use Zair more. You got to realize, oh, he's Mega Man. Instead of playing your normal old Lucas game, you got to realize he's Mega Man. I need to start throwing out a lot of Zairs, and that's hard to think about sometimes.
It is, and also like when we're saying like it's just Zair, it doesn't mean necessarily double jump cancel Zair. It means short hop, maybe delay the Zair a little
change
bit,
up
and then
all,
Zair
use all kind of Zairs you can. Change up all the options of Zair you can, because they will predict that you doing double jump cancel Zair and punish that. It's like it's so crazy. It's really annoying, but.
Yep. And one thing behind using the full extent of Zair, for example, like you wait for like maybe the peak of your short hop and then you Zair, maybe you don't even fast fall. The good thing about that is that Zair is so active that might like cover yourself as you're, descending from your short hop. You want to abuse the active frames of Zair to clink out these projectiles. When that's our best tool versus Mega Man, when it's not even that great versus him, because he just has so many tools to counteract it, or just play out of that like predictable range that Lucas can reach. It makes the matchup very difficult for Lucas, and that's not even like, I don't think that's even the worst part of the matchup. There's so many other things. He can edge guard us fairly well. Bear and Pellets sometimes even can catch our tether well. Dare does not care about whatever disjoint PK Thunder has, and because of like the whole starting on PK Thunder and then hitting yourself with it, Mega Man has more than enough time to set up a dare. His ledge trapping is amazing versus us. Just throwing out some pellets to catch our options, because like pellet will catch double jump cancels there before it comes out, or he can just be outside the range of it and doesn't have to. You're not going to magnet from the ledge. That's not going to work, because if you do like drop down double jump magnet,
it's too much of a commitment.
It's too much of a commitment, because now you're like, because magnet stops your horizontal momentum. So now you're just like right by the ledge. You're basically still technically off. You're still off stage, and you just used your double jump. And so now your only option to get back to the stage is either to go back to ledge or to directional air dodge onto stage. And we know both of those options get you nowhere or put you in a worse position, because now you have no ledge invincibility, or you just directional air dodged into Mega Man. You could jump if you time it right, but you're floaty with the highest ledge jump in the air. And it is. On top of it, for some characters that's a good thing that you're the highest ledge jump. You have the highest ledge jump, but for us it feels like it's worse.
Because you're stuck in the air for so long.
Yeah, you're stuck in the air. You basically just put yourself in a juggle scenario for them. And on top of that, we don't have landing options, and we're a floaty character. There are movement mix-ups obviously in the air, but now you're back to the same argument as when we're being juggled, which is like, okay, it gets too predictable. It doesn't change your momentum enough. or whatever change you do in the air doesn't really matter because you're floaty, and your landing can just get caught pretty easily. Or you're just committing to the moves in the air. But yeah, that's so that's Ledge. His out of shield is a problem versus Mega Man. He has safe landing aerials versus us, but I mean that's not even the biggest thing. Just pellets on shield. We're not gonna be able to do much about it. I guess it's versus most characters, most characters versus Mega Man, anyways. But it's just another problem that we have to deal with. Juggling, we have some weird gimmicks versus Mega Man. So up air is amazing. I'm talking about Mega Man's, by the way. Yeah, his up air is amazing at juggling. For shield pressure, if you don't know, like it is, so up air is a projectile. So when he's done with the end leg of the move for him, the up air will still keep going. And so a common shield pressure option is that when you're on a platform shielding versus Mega Man,
they can break your shield. You about to talk about that?
Exactly. He'll do a landing up air and then bear your shield, and you can say if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but because our shield is so trash.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Bear will poke us. It will break our shield usually.
I complain about that so much. How our shield, like they hit you one time and you already can get poked.
Yep.
That's so trash.
For anyone listening and doesn't know, Lucas's shield, one of the worst, since his head pokes out very early on into like his shield decaying. And so some people find that a good thing though, because it's like you might avoid some shield break setups because you instead get hit, but it doesn't change the fact that like you might want to shield something and then you get shield poked. Like in the Bayo matchup, you get hit by short hop side B when your shield is just barely like decayed because it just pokes your head.
And that kind of teaches you that you need to start moving your shield. But even I haven't even practiced that yet. And it's like now you have to practice more things that other people would not have to really practice. Like now you got to start moving your shield around. I've seen a lot of people do it that don't need to do it, but like now you have to learn. You have to learn this extra thing. Like,
and now also it's an extra thing that just adds more difficulty.
Yeah, it's like one of those things because every morning, like for most mornings, I'll take like 30 minutes and practice something like for 30 minutes, and now that's an extra thing that I have to spend time on and like make a whole week of like just practicing moving my shield up and all that crap. That's so trash.
It adds an extra layer, and also so we're not the only character that has a terrible shield. The options or the characters that come to mind are Ness, who is like an exact same situation as us in terms of shield size, and Mario. Mega Man also doesn't have a great shield, but the difference between all of them and us is that they have really good out of shield options. They have very fast out of shield options that can go fairly far.
It makes sense that their shield is small, but
they don't have to deal with holding shield as much. That's a key difference because now we're going to be stuck holding shield way longer, while they don't have to. So they might not have to experience like getting shield poked in kind of dumb situations as much. But yeah, and then the icing on the cake is that once Mega Man has a solid lead, rush camping becomes a viable option for him, and that is hell to deal with. Have you seen rush camping before by any chance?
I've seen it before. I got a top Mega Man player in my region. Me and him, we'll get to like last game, but he will literally like rush camp me until he can hit me.
Yep.
And Lucas, he just can't catch people.
Yep.
They're like doing stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, it is. It can really feel impossible to deal with because Mega Man has so many mix-ups to it. For those who are listening and don't know, rush camping is when Mega Man utilizes his up B as a movement option around the stage, because up B does not put Mega Man into free fall, and he can also use anything after doing up B. That includes double jump, air dodge, all his aerials.
B reverses, all that crap.
B reverses, yep. So he has so many ways to change up his momentum, and he has an amazing airspeed. And then also, if you try to challenge him while he's in the air, he has dare, he has leaf shield, he has fair, he has up air if you end up overshooting him and go over him on accident or just guessed wrong.
Down air if you're waiting too much too. If you're waiting too much and shielding, he'll down air your shield.
Yep, and he'll do it safely too. He doesn't even have to follow up on the pressure. He just kind of hits it, and it's like it's so safe that you can't do anything about it. But yeah, in that matchup, for how it depends on how lame the Mega Man wants to play. If he comes in, he's playing aggro. That matchup is very very doable for Lucas. But if that Mega Man is abusing, his safety, his defensive abilities, it is close to impossible sometimes. Like to make it doable for Lucas, that's a bit hard because like a lot of this stuff either has no counterplay or you need to be guessing perfectly, which is not a Lucas thing. That's just a thing that you just kind of get lucky sometimes, or you have the perfect read. You look at the Mega Man's habits while they're rush camping and see what they're doing. But a good Mega Man player realizes that they have enough options for pretty much any scenario. Majority of the time, like the odds are stacked against you when you're trying to guess versus Mega Man. It's like 9-10, so you might guess right versus Mega Man once, and you want to push your advantage as much as possible. But sometimes the best you'll get out of a guess is hitting Mega Man with PK Fire, and then you get nothing off of that. While Mega Man, when you whiff an attack trying to guess where he is, might get a forward air, and then chain it off stage, or land some high damage moves, and that's just kind of GG. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that I want to add to that is Lucas doesn't have any burst options.
Yep.
And a lot of characters, they can like wait for him to do the pellets and wait for him to like look at his options and be like, all right, I'm gonna burst option him and then I'm gonna start comboing him.
Right.
Lucas doesn't. And a lot of people, they always say when they see my matches, they'll be like, he's a really good Lucas, but he's so patient. He's so like, he'll sit back and wait and stuff like that. And that's the thing. You cannot like really like, I'm a burst option this and do this and do that. You have to be like, okay, he's throwing a lot of pellets. I need to pay attention to this. I need to wait and see what's going on. And people don't realize that Lucas also has a lot of different hitboxes on his moves. So your spacing has to be good if you want the combo that you want. And so it's like you're playing like a game of like, okay, I can't be too close, but I can't be too far away because I don't want to get the wrong forward tilt. I don't want to get the wrong fair. So you're like kind of like keeping this like weird wall, and people think you're like playing defensive, but you're not. You're just like trying to get the right hitboxes to hit the person, which is really hard when you have a person who's camping you and all this extra stuff, and you just want to hit them, and it's really freaking annoying. And I don't know how to really explain this frustration as far as like what I just did.
No. I know what you mean, because it's like, so that's just a general flaw of Lucas. I find like he has an amazing combo game. You got Nair loops. Well, I mean, unless they SCI out of it, but still, it is an option for a combo. Landing up air into like the triple up airs. You're getting 50, 60, whatever percent, sometimes even death from landing a dare on stage at like 60%. You have to acknowledge how the opponent can play around your combo starters, because while we may have a good amount of combo starters, there's counterplay to getting hit by them. And also you have to be very close to Lucas for a lot of those to actually be relevant. If you want a landing up air in neutral, that is extremely hard to do. Maybe if you corner him and catch him shielding, but they might just shield the up air and then roll out of there, because you're betting so much on landing that landing up air because you need that big advantage win. You need that 50% that you'd get. Sometimes we have to rely on our advantage too much because our neutral is not good enough off of stray hits. We just can't win enough off of that, especially versus defensive players. Yeah, you can't just get stray hits. You got to get that landing fair so you can get into double jump cancel airs. It's difficult. And that's not something that's a limitation of the character.
I feel like it's a flaw that I feel like they don't really think about how this character stacks up against a lot of characters when they buff and nerf them. Because if they did, like, I feel like they would have been like, oh, okay, he's missing this, he's missing that. But they haven't buffed him in a very long time. They haven't even like touched anything. Remember that time they buffed Ness? And I was like,
I
I
was
was
so confused.
Me too. And I was looking around. I'm like, okay, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O. Okay, I'm gonna keep sliding down for Lucas.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, we're like, how y'all buff Ness when he was already like, good, but I feel like they're not really thinking about how he stacks up against a lot of the characters in the game. Like, what's gonna make him viable? And I feel like
Right.
they just don't even like consider that.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I was kind of fine with the Ness buffs just because, like, Ness was a good character. Like it sounds like if it even moves him up to, he's not this right now, but if the buffs move them up to like top of high tier, that's fine. Like it's good. If more characters are in that really really good range, I like that.
Yeah.
It makes more characters viable. It's not like overtuning him. It's not the same as buffing Min Min or buffing Joker. So like Ness was a decent character before, but I think this just kind of solidified that he is a good character. But yeah, it was very weird that we well, obviously we're not the same character or very close to it, but like it's weird that we just didn't get that many buffs. I do think that I think I mentioned this before, but there's not necessarily a amazing way to fix Lucas because it's so much is related to just his archetype and his base stats.
I
And
also
his
think they can mess it
hitboxes,
up.
animations.
I also think they can mess it up where Lucas is extremely annoying. Like if they did buff the Nair, like being able to combo like to 80% because the Nair is like bigger or is faster out of shield would kind of be like really insane. And I'm not sure, like just make it a little bit faster, but having it where it's like almost as Ness, because Ness, I don't think he could just Nair out a shield and get that straight hit, but he also can, that puts him in an advantage state and he can like do things off of that. But when Lucas is like, he could combo off of his, so that would be like kind of like, I'll be happy, but it'll be like, okay, like this character he might move up, but not that much, but because compared to all the other characters, but it might be really hard to deal with him after that.
There is an argument that by making Lucas stronger, like let's say they make the normal way that they do patches sometimes is just that this does increase damage, just has a new combo route. They added hit stun for this, so now you have to be more worried about that. It sometimes it just makes characters more cheesy. I think I said like DK last time. Like just giving him super armor and up B, so you're just like, that might just make the opponent, like if they make Lucas stronger in that way, like just more of a character you don't want to deal with. And so that might encourage more to just play more defensive versus him. And like, obviously they wouldn't change his stats or anything or make up air a sword swipe all of a sudden, like he's still going to be really stubby moving around. He's just going to be cheesier when he gets in. And so that might just encourage more defensive play versus him, which is arguably worse than even with a buff. So that's just a thought.
All right, let's go to the next question. What's Lucas's best and worst stage?
Matchup dependent, but I think more importantly, play style dependent. So for example, let's see. Yeah, it's a lot of this is playstyle dependent. You do not want to take someone who platform or circle camps to Yoshi's. If they don't platform or circle camp though, like Yoshi's is not a terrible stage. The walls are good for us. And the slants can sometimes be good for us. I feel like
using double jump cancel 0 on that slant is one of the most annoying things ever.
Yeah. The more I think about it, I think slants might be worse for us just because there are situations where characters can be at the ledge and our attacks whiff because of the slant. I don't think so. Certain moves, when you do them on a slant, sometimes the character will be slanted with that attack and sometimes it won't be. I'm not sure if F tilt is one of those moves. So there is a possibility that down angled F tilt may not be as good versus a ledge if we don't tilt with it.
You know what? I never tested that.
It's a weirdly specific thing, but it does play a role in some matchups. Yeah, a lot of the stage list versus defensive play does not favor us. We have a lot of big stages. We have PS2, which is a huge stage. story, which I mean isn't necessarily huge. It's just that the platforms are very wide, and so it provides a lot of coverage for those that are trying to camp on it. There's town, which again very wide stage. Kalos, which is definitely our worst stage. I think Kalos is our worst stage. We cannot full hop onto the platforms of Kalos. There are weird gimmicks to get us on there, like if we do a full hop buffered PK fire to get onto the platform, but like that's not good. We'd have to double jump, kind of hard commit to get onto those platforms. So characters that can full hop onto it, even if they can't, can camp on those platforms really well. And it's a very wide stage too, so you have to play versus a lot of distance. That can be an issue. Versus some characters that wall can be very good for stalling for them. But yeah, it's fairly straightforward why it's our worst stage. It's too big and the platforms are too high. Again, this is very matchup dependent. I could say it could be Smashville, and it's not even that's like if you're forced to go there, because I think like stages like PS2 and Battlefield are good for us if the opponent isn't playing super defensively. But in the case that they are, I think Smashville is our best bet.
I know this interview is not about me, but I think Small Battlefield is. And
oh shoot, yeah, no.
Forgot?
Sorry. I forgot that. Okay, so I had like a picture of a stage list in front of me, and this was before Small Battlefield came out. Yes, okay. Yeah, Small Battlefield is an amazing stage for us. Totally forgot. Yeah, you don't get camped as hard on that stage. It's small, and you'll get good combo extensions off of the Battlefield platforms. Yes, thank you for bringing it up.
And also, like, our full hop is, and our up tilt also reaches Small Battlefield's platforms. So you know how some characters can just up tilt and cover the platform? Now Lucas can also, because up tilts, like that hexagon, it changes like shapes. So on Battlefield, it doesn't like reach the character sometimes, but on Small Battlefield, it will reach them for the most part. And also using magnet and pressuring on the platform is good for Lucas because he could just short hop onto the platforms or short hop with magnet and then up air afterwards. And not many people will expect you to up air right after the magnet. And most characters cannot punish that.
Yep. The one thing about the platforms, I believe they're the exact same height as the side platforms of Battlefield.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, they are. So up tilt
normally is weird.
It doesn't. So it depends. Like if the character that is on the platform has hurt boxes that go to their feet, which is like a surprisingly like small amount of the cast. Like Mario, he doesn't have a hurt box that at least we can up tilt on that platform. Up tilt will hit their shields when they're on the platform, but a lot of times it won't actually hit them. This applies to both Battlefield and Small Battlefield. So that's an unfortunate downside. We still do have to short hop for a lot of the cast to hit him. I'm looking at like Mario's hurt box right now. Yeah, his feet don't have a hurt box. Not the bottom of them at least.
That's really crazy.
Yeah, a lot of characters are like that. Even Lucas, I think. Yeah.
Oh, that's good for us.
Oh no.
You see how quickly I changed up?
Yeah. All right. Actually, maybe not having feet hurt. Oh no, we do have hurt box.
Oh my gosh.
It's not our toes that we don't have it on. For sure, Mega Man I know doesn't have it. Wario doesn't have a hurt box on his feet. I think Yoshi doesn't Yoshi does. But you get the gist. Generally, up tilt won't be hitting, and if it does, it's like the very late hit of up tilt because it like slowly travels up. Yeah, unfortunately, we would still be using like short hop up air to poke at them. It's a little bit more manageable on Small Battlefield. I'd say that could be our best stage then.
Yep. Now we're gonna go to like personal things just about you with Lucas and stuff like that. This is the last couple of questions. What is your play style with Lucas? Like your individual play style compared to other Lucas?
I've actually asked this before because sometimes I'm confused about what people think my play style is. Some people will say I'm a very aggressive, and then some people will say I am the campiest player, or you are the campiest player I've ever played against in my life. I'm leaning more towards the campy part. Now, I think the reason why some people think I play aggressive is because, especially when I use Lucas a lot, I focus so much on making my advantage as crazy as possible. I wanted to be that if I got a hit in, I would do 50% or 70%, and I'd take him off stage. you know, I wanted to the best at advantage, and I think like I did very well in pushing my advantage. And so what would happen is that I would play campy, but when they would whiff or I'd get a hit in, I would take it very far. And so that might look like aggression, but it's just me playing off of my defensive style so that I can get a big advantage win and just pushing my combo game and you know, catching the opponent's options as to the extent I possibly can. So me personally, I do think I'm a very defensive and campy player. You know, like I like walking a lot. I try to force the match to play at a slower pace, unless the person that I'm playing versus, sorry, has defensive options that are better than mine, or at least recognizes in the matchup that they should be playing more defensive because they can do it better. Then I'm in a situation where I'm forced to play aggro. And that's like, I feel like I can play aggro fine. I prefer defensive because it's a safer play style. And, you know, tilting the opponent is a important factor sometimes, especially in bracket. Playing defensive can force that kind of tilt factor. And on top of having like a good advantage, like that just makes them even more frustrated, which can help your defensive play even more because now they're going to be sometimes even more reckless coming into you. Obviously, it's not always true. It depends on the player's mentality and how they go in. But that is just one little benefit to that kind of style. But yes, I do play mostly defensive, and I do think that like Lucas does best in that because he doesn't really have good aggro tools, like a burst option or high movement speed. But I do think every Lucas player should be pushing their advantage to the max as much as possible. Those neutral wins can be hard to come by.
Yo, that was so good. I love that because the thing is about Lucas is like your best scenario is basically when they're off stage because that's where you have most options, more than a lot of characters. And you have to push them off stage. And a lot of Lucas's, like, I'll play some of my subscribers, and I'm sorry, guys, if you have played me, but you know that I go off stage and I take your PK Thunder. But when I'm off stage, you guys just sit there and try to ledge trap me, which you should go out there and take my PK Thunder too. And y'all not like going hard enough off stage as Lucas. And I feel like that's really important for Lucas players to, like, I'm going to go out there and hit you because that's literally the best scenario for Lucas. Literally the best scenario.
There is I don't know if you're aware, there's like especially in the Lucas Discord, there's like a something about absorbing the opponent's PK Thunder, especially in friendlies, that is like generally pretty. It's like frowned upon. So
I feel bad when I do it, but it's like, don't do it then.
Yeah,
I'm trying to not do it. So I rarely throughout the whole match, I do not like use PK Thunder. I just air dodge to the stage. I zare. But when I use PK Thunder, nobody takes it. So I'm like, why you do that?
They might just be like trying to be nice or whatever, but like just do it, man. Like if the opponent's doing it, especially, just do it back. It doesn't really matter.
If you go in bracket,
yeah,
that Lucas is going to take your PK Thunder. Like a villager is going to take it.
Oh, 100% in bracket. Yeah, no, don't like make zero exceptions there at all. I actually did gentleman Lucas once, so
you did.
Not in bracket. It was pretty funny. I had a lot of practice of just edge guarding Lucas, like without PK Thunder, so like it was fine. But like you know, that was just because it was with a friend, and we were both just kind of messing around. So like you know, obviously take it seriously. Like if you're playing that matchup in bracket, absorb it. If you're playing serious matches with another Lucas. First of all, it's kind of weird because you'll probably never play another Lucas in bracket, but like, you should still practice for it and playing around. There's counterplay to Lucas absorbing another PK Thunder. So learning that, saving your resources, you'll learn something by doing it. But obviously I understand if you don't want to
it's very disrespectful. I feel so bad because I'll literally kill all their stocks.
It's cheesy.
Absorbing their mag.
Yep. It's so cheesy.
Like, I feel bad, but it's like I'm trying to like I don't want my people to be like, okay, I can just use PK Thunder down here because a lot of top players will go down there and hit you. And I was playing Yoda Cage. I don't know if you.
Not familiar.
He's a amazing Bowser Jr. player in the Philadelphia region.
Gotcha.
And he literally went off stage every single time to hit me when I use PK Thunder. And I feel like you need to know that like that's going to happen to you. So I'm not going to
Yep.
spare you, and you keep doing it, and I'm not like punishing it.
Yep.
I
No,
don't
I
know. It's
feel that.
disrespectful, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
What archetype do you think Lucas belongs in?
Oh, I think I did this one in the.
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
said he was definitely a more defensive character. And I think because we were talking about is he a zoner? Yep. And then I think I said like he's more of a turtling character. So kind of just holding his ground, walling out approaches, and then he can make he can do well in advantage after that. But if you consider a zoner just someone that doesn't let you in some matchups, Lucas can be like that. If the opponent's trying to get in, just because of F tilt, fair, Zaire, all that stuff. In that sense, if you want to consider that a zoner, then sure. But yeah, I'd consider him more of like a turtling character. That might just be like my own play style. But yeah, that's what I think.
Okay. What is your favorite matchup with Lucas?
I think the Ditto. As weird as that is, I don't like. I also played the Ditto a ton when I was playing Lucas way more, so that could be it. But I had a lot of fun in the Ditto. It's an even matchup, obviously. Lucas's strengths are like the perfect counters to his weakness. Like he has amazing shield
weird,
pressure.
right?
It's so weird. It's so weird. Like Lucas, he like he has bad out of shield, and then we have like one of the best shield pressure.
Yeah, it's so weird, man. I don't understand.
Yep, I don't get it either. It's but it's pretty funny how that plays out. Lucas is not gonna be able to like circle camp or platform camp him. So like generally like the matches, they can be slower paced if they want to be, but it feels pretty fair. I mean, it has to be. It's the Ditto. You guys both have the same exact tools.
Another thing I noticed about the Ditto is like if one Lucas is doing a certain thing, like say if the Lucas is using a lot more Zares, that Lucas pretty much almost wins like most exchanges. And also if the Lucas is approaching with Magnet, like buffer and Magnet out of a short hop, and the other Lucas is using too many PK fires, you can like close that Lucas in real quick.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's PK Fire actually becomes more of a mind game in that matchup because you can't just recklessly throw it out, even though it doesn't heal Lucas much. But it's about the idea that the other Lucas pulled out a slow move like Magnet to acknowledge that you're probably going to use PK Fire there. Like you just know that he can look into your soul right now, and like you got to be scared. I mean, also PK Fire is very reactable, but still, but yeah, I like that matchup the most. I think that's pretty fun.
How do you play neutral with Lucas? You're a neutral.
My neutral is it kind of goes back to how I play, which is playing very defensive. I'll do walking or dashing, F tilting approaches, or at least create a conditioning that would force the opponent to not just always jump in. And then possibly if I can condition enough, try to get them to like kind of dash shield towards me to a distance where I can maybe like safely double jump cancel their shield. I think that it depends on the opponent's awareness or their options that they pick, but hitting their shield with a safe move as Lucas is a win for Lucas. Obviously need the right hit in, but if I can condition him to shield, I'll play off that shield pressure with his tilts and his aerials.
Yes.
So that's a big thing I'll do. So when I'm playing, I'm catching out. I'm trying to catch full hop approaches with full hop fair in return. F tilting, walking around. The occasional mix up of a short hop in with a fair or a Zaire, or mixing it up with a short hop in and then wave bounce PK Fire back. And yeah, that's the gist of it pretty much. If I have to come in, I'll be doing full hop, maybe approaching Zaire sometimes, short hop fair. It all depends on the situation, the opponent's habits. If I'm reading that they might jump out of that corner, then I'd maybe use Zaire more and that with the full hop Zaire. Yeah, if I'm reading that they'll do a rising aerial as I'm about to approach them, it'll be maybe an empty land and then shield, or maybe just I'll just be doing short dash approaches into shields. But yeah, generally I will be playing more defensive, walking around F tilting. Yeah, grounded and sometimes aerial.
What do you do to keep your advantage state? Like what moves do you use to keep your advantage state?
So Lucas doesn't really have good moves that like put the opponent in a bad position that he can follow up off of. Um, other than maybe down tilt because that sends you nowhere. But all his other moves, like he's not a character that can chase you in the air. Like for example, with Sephiroth, he can kind of like put you into an awkward situation. Like with F throw. That like puts you in an area near him and you're kind of in disadvantage. Like there's no true follow-ups off of F throw. But like you're in a bad position, he can follow up off of it with like maybe an F tilt or something and then push you off stage. For Lucas, I'm relying mostly on true things, whether that be nair loops, or up air combos, or bear combos. It's mostly the true stuff. Now I will purposefully drop combos sometimes to catch an opponent's option so that I can get a bigger reward. And generally what a bigger reward means is that I'm either getting like them landing on the ground because they air dodge in the middle of my nairs and they're stuck in the air dodge lag. And that means I can get a landing up air because I think landing up air and landing bear are our best combo tools. So if I can get a landing up air like that, that's a bigger win and advantage. But generally I will be relying on more true things. Some people might argue that like up tilt could be good at keeping yourself an advantage because it puts him in a juggle scenario. But I think I've expressed like how I feel about juggle scenarios with Lucas being that like he can't really catch options. So if they double jump out of the up tilt, like he's not going to be able to really catch anything out of that.
All right. So in your opinion, what does the best optimal play for Lucas is?
I think defensive. I think aggro Lucas would be really cool because he has such good pressure and movement mix-ups. But aggro Lucas, in my opinion, doesn't work because of his lack of ability, just the stats given. He's too slow. He has no burst options. He can't do any of that. And he's not great air to air. I don't think he can be an aggressive character. You can definitely try. And if the opponent doesn't know how to play around it, then I mean, more power to you, right? So like,
I want to give more context to what you're saying. Aggro Lucas would be inconsistent in bracket.
yeah.
Defensive Lucas would be way more consistent.
Yep. And that honestly just applies to a good amount of this game where defensive play is usually better.
But other characters can force it more, like Fox, like that.
Yes.
That aggroness could like be very consistent. But
yep. So he actually has the tools. Yeah.
Yeah. With Lucas, he don't have the tools to like do that in every matchup.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like that. Fox can be an extreme, like because that's like a super aggro character. Even a character like Sephiroth, who people consider a more defensive character, is probably the right way to play him, and I do agree with that too. But he at least has tools to play aggressive, unlike Lucas, because you have situations where he has the run speed for it. He has some burst options. He can threaten you at mid range, so that he can kind of close the gap and then keep you pressured for you to make mistakes. He can call out jumps with Nair. He has the ability to play aggressive, even if that's not his best way to go. I don't feel like that about Lucas. Like he doesn't have the movement speed, and he needs too specific stuff. He can't just play off of any hit that he gets, unlike other aggressive characters. But that's so I'd say optimally, even playing passive or just full on defensive, that's fine. I think passive might be better. Just to kind of, at least at first, to analyze if the opponent can deal with aggression. If they can, then it's like, then it's default to defensive. If they're not approaching, then you're just kind of forced into being aggressive then.
All right, these are very quick fire questions that have nothing to do with Lucas. What is your favorite game?
Mother 3 and Xenoblade. Both of those are my favorite games.
Favorite game series?
Oh, game series. I actually don't know that too well. I usually only like one game from a series a lot. Maybe Smash. Smash, yeah.
Nice. Favorite TV show?
Gravity Falls or Adventure Time. Either one of those.
I like Adventure Time. That's what
that's a good show.
The last question was, have you played Mother 3 and do you think it's a good game? You already said that. So
yeah, it's why I made Lucas.
All right, that was my last couple of questions.
Good luck, and if you need help with anything, just let me know.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah.
All right, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
All right,
Okay.
man.
Bye.
Bye.